Afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are in the world. This is Dan Anderson, wishing you a very, very welcome on the weekly Global Associate Meeting. Now, we have a few things to go through, but not so much in volume, but there's some very important things that I'm going to be talking about today. And it's kind of all good and interesting, but our agenda is kind of the standard agenda. We'll go through some events, some recognition, and but in particular, I planted some seeds with you last week of where we're going and how we're going back to our roots with Leo Coin and what have you. And I want to give you a little bit more teaser information about that. I see that we have a global crowd on this meeting, so very, very welcome to all of you from every corner of the world. And there's too many people to actually go into the individual listings there, but it's kind of just nice to be running a global organization with people who come from so many different backgrounds and cultures and who share this aspiration to build up a Leo business and to market Leo products and for all of the challenges that I've faced this year. There's still that fundamental recognition that we are doing good work of building bridges between people and not walls. That is kind of exemplified, especially by this fella here called Yao Rui. And for those of you who attended Kuala Lumpur and those of you who attended Mauritius, this guy would have stood out. He's from our Chinese speaking community and he's just gone director. And in China and in Chinese culture, there's kind of an acknowledgement or a recognition or a belief, I guess, that luck is a very real thing. They talk about luck as something that exists, and some people have it and some people don't, and at different times in your life you're lucky and at other times you're not so lucky. Well, this guy is lucky. In Kuala Lumpur, when we launched the Mauritius destination as our next global conference, we also did a lucky draw, and Yao won that lucky draw. And if you were there, you'll remember the joy and the happiness and what a positive kind of person he was. Now, you don't go director by accident. You do have to do the work. You have to build your two organizations and you really have to support it and drive that forward. So congratulations to Yao for that achievement. But his luck is even more kind of tangible, because not only did he win the lucky draw, and not only is he lucky enough to be in the Leo business, not only was he lucky enough to go to Mauritius, and if you were in Mauritius, you would have seen this guy as a real live wire, running around, working with people, having fun, But he also, him and his wife, got pregnant during the Kuala Lumpur event. So these are kind of the stories that remind me that we're touching so many people around the world, and we're such an influence and such a positive influence on so many people's lives in different ways. I've recently had and seen on social media testimonials from our Pakistani business where they see that they feel that they're so lucky to be exposed to Leo and blah, Dan Anderson. I mean, I don't take that as something to build my ego up with, but they're in a very, very tough country with many problems, and Leo is opening up doors for them to do international business in a way that they couldn't even dream about before they joined our business. So it's kind of this recognition of our members that are making this happen. That makes it all worthwhile for me, really. So congratulations, Yao Rui, for director, and I look forward to seeing your next successes with Leo. And for all of you watching and attending these GAMs, you've got to also consider that if he can do it, if these people can do it, why not you? And you know the story there. You know the reality of that. That it's a decision. It's not based on the school that you went to. It's not based on your connections. It's not based on your politics. It's not based on your family. It's not based on sucking up to the boss. It's based on your ability to make a decision to do this or to not do this. That's entirely up to you. But if you decide to do it, there is work involved, and all of our leaders are very, very clear that they don't achieve their success for no work. And this is kind of part of the thing that one of the reasons why we share the successes of people is to remind you and your teams that everyone can do this. But it's about doing duplication, it's about building a sustainable business, it's about not taking the shortcuts, but building and managing people's expectations correctly. It's not hyping people in, because then they discover what happens afterwards when they look at you and think, well, if you hype me into this, if you exaggerate everything, then what else have you not told me, etc., etc., etc. So it's about building a genuine network of leaders who are socially connected to you, who trust you, who believe in you, who believe in Leo, therefore, and then working together as a team to make this happen. And I know on these calls, the people who are attending this, they do understand it, because these are people who are attending no matter what the clock says in your country. You're on this scam, and I thank you for that. Now, the other thing that I want to promote is our live seminar at Canary Wharf in London on the 11th of August. 11th of August is kind of an auspicious date, as I was kind of joking with you last week, but one of our Chinese friends did my feng shui chart or something in Chinese astrology terms. And apparently this year I've had 9 stars that have been working against me and only 2 working for me. So this feng shui master said, "Ooh, Mr. Anderson has had a tough year." And I have to admit, it has been a tough year. But on the 8th of August, apparently that's when autumn starts in the Chinese calendar, everything changes. And I think there's something about that I'm going to choose to believe is true, because some of the things at the end of this call, you'll understand, are kind of kicking in August. And that's a very cool thing, because it's a collective chance for all of us to gather our breath and move on to take Leo and your Leo businesses and everything else that implies to the next level. We are far from done. We have a 5-year track record. But our biggest growth is in front of us. And if you're new on this call, I congratulate you, because you have just joined one of the greatest growth opportunities that was not available to our members sort of 3, 4, 5 years ago, because they had to build the hard way, and it was quite tough. Now we'll have improved and increased evidence of our success, and you'll understand some of that after our call. The UK Leaders Summit, speaking about UK events, is also in full swing, and the agenda information for those of you and your teams that have qualified will be coming to you very, very shortly, and you will be blown away with the agenda, because we are really pulling out all the stops on this, and you'll be visiting our offices, you'll be visiting some of the most historic landmark sites of UK history, you'll be going in and visiting our mining facility that we set up in the UK. And it'll be one of those opportunities for you to get sort of really in with the company, to understand our DNA and who we are and what we believe in. What is really cool about Leo at the moment is that we have a shared vision in the company. Everyone knows kind of where we're going. Everyone is on the same team. There's no politics going on. There's kind of just one team working their socks off to support all of you building your businesses. They understand that their salaries are paid for through the success that you guys have, and your success depends on us giving you proper support and being an honest company. All of that comes together at the moment in Leo in a very, very cool way. While we have lots of field on this call, we also have corporate members who want to understand what information you're getting from me, etc., so that they can serve you better, really. So we're in a very good place, and I'm very, very proud to be hosting this UK Leaders event and to invite you all to our UK headquarters. Now, we are a global company. We've always been a global company, but our headquarters is in the UK. And I think that many of our people out in the markets appreciate that we're a UK company rather than a local company to them, because that adds something extra to the story and what have you. Despite madness of Brexit and Donald Trump balloons and goodness knows what else is happening in the UK at the moment, it still is a very, very cool country to visit for all of you. And we will make sure that your time is very, very special, and we'll look after you well. Likewise on Morocco. For all of you who've qualified for that, congratulations. Looking forward to seeing you there. Just the thing that I've been saying for the last month or so, make sure your travel documents are ready. Make sure that the logistics that are your responsibility are done. I know that I've been saying this for week after week after week, and I know that all of you said, yeah, he's right, I should get on with that. And I know that some of you haven't done it yet. Get on with it now, because otherwise you are just a fool to yourself. And the company and the support team will look after you, and they'll do everything they can to help you. But you have to be on top of your administration game, especially if you want to be a successful global entrepreneur. That is part of it. Our leaders are very, very good at running large teams of thousands of people, and that doesn't come without organizational skills. That doesn't come without discipline. So if you think that you can just sign up a few people and be successful, that's not how this works. You have to sign up a few people, build a big network, and part of that is making sure that you're on top of your admin, on top of your tax affairs, on top of your business stuff. Otherwise, none of this works. And the smallest part of that is making sure that you have your travel documents ready for Morocco. Brazil is still the focus, and I don't know. I was speaking earlier on the Chinese webinar, and just sort of talking about how I gauge if we've got the destination right, and how to gauge if we've got the venue right on some of these things. And some of the events that we've done in the past have been part of a growing company, getting some things right and getting some things wrong. But where we got everything right, it feels to me, was Mauritius. We had an entire resort to the use and benefit of all of our leaders that qualified for it. They were treated like kings and queens. The event was branded so that it was very, very clearly a Leo global event, and it was quite special. I'm very, very proud of what the team achieved there, and the testimonials and the feedback that I've had from people is that it was an extraordinary experience for all of them. Brazil will be like that, but more. And I gauge that based on the feedback that I get from the creatives and the events management team that have been out to Brazil, and the feedback that they come back with is, wow, this is just wow. So Brazil will be one of those things that you must make a decision to be there. You must push to get your qualification, break that new associate. Many people have already done it. We know it's possible. New people have done it. Old people have done it. It is a matter of a decision, nothing else. You have until the 31st of October. That means even if you haven't done anything to date, if you start today and get focused on this, you will be in Brazil. And that applies to you. That applies to all of your teams as well. It doesn't mean that it will fall in your lap. It doesn't mean that you don't have to do the uncomfortable things. It doesn't mean that you don't have to speak to people. It doesn't mean that you don't have to deal with rejection. You have to deal with all of those things, but the rewards are worth it, because on the one hand, you're qualifying for Brazil, what can I say? But two, you're also building a business at the same time. So it's kind of like a double win-win for all of you. Now, if you look at the small pictures there, every week I look at these things and I'm thinking, oh, I can't wait to go there myself. I've been to Rio de Janeiro before, and it is one of those places that you just want to come back to over and over again, because frankly, it is just so beautiful. With the Christos statue, with the water, with the beaches, with the people, it is one of the most extraordinary places in the world, and you need to be there with as many of your people as you humanly can qualify for. Now, the DMS is a mixed plate. DMS worked for us very, very well as a bridging product, and this year it's been fantastic, and I know that you are so enthusiastic about it. We launched this service when the price of Bitcoin was up around $20,000, and it was a kind of a fantastic frothy place. And as you know, the markets of digital currencies have been under pressure this year. I mean, that notwithstanding, they're kind of 5 times more than they were 12 months ago at the same time of year. But nevertheless, from where they were at the beginning of the year, the marketplace has moved on. Now, we mine alternative currencies. We don't mine Bitcoin. We don't mine Ethereum. We mark second and third tier coins, because that's been a very, very funky opportunity where there's been abilities to make some massive uplifts. But the challenge that we're having is hardware. on many different levels, and the leaders that come to the UK will understand when you see the mining facility that we've created to supplement our mining facility in Slovenia and in Iceland. But we have hardware issues. Now, the DMSs that members are buying now in July, they will get their first rewards in October, and we're absolutely 100% committed to that. But we are concerned about our ability to actually do the logistics of getting the hardware that we need, which is quite specialized stuff. Is way beyond my ability to even verbalize, but the people that know and are technical experts, they got very, very clear strategies on what we're mining, and the hardware has becoming a problem. So for August purchases, it's looking like now that the delay of reward is not going to be 1st of November, but December. And obviously, if we can do better, we will. But we're giving you an early heads up now that August sales are going to have an extra hurdle for you, because it's hard enough to sell it with the delays that we've had. The delays have to, because we're a responsible company, we have to be very, very clear on what we can deliver and can't deliver. So they'll be delayed to the end of December for August purchases, which I understand is a pain, which I understand is tedious as anything, but it is what it is. And we're building this business not for just the 5 months, 6 months into Christmas or to the end of the year. We're building it for the next 5, 6 years, the next 10 years. So we have to make responsible decisions. So close your prospect before the end of July to avoid disappointment. This is the time to focus on DMS. What we're then doing is getting back into our core DNA, which is Leo Coin. On the Chinese webinar, every week now, we're having 3 or 4 or 5 slides showing community activities happening in the Chinese-speaking community where they are driving awareness about Leo Coin specifically. There's kind of no particular marketing plan incentive for them to do that. There's kind of no company support to do that. But what is interesting is that while we've been this year, we kind of segued out into Bitcoin and Ethereum land, where we have our product sales of training, etc. But we have this opportunity for people to actually experience digital currencies. The Leo Coin community has been going stronger than ever. One of the things that I'm really proud to see is that there's how should I say this? There's a fair amount of people who are sitting on their hands doing nothing, waiting for Leo Coin to make them rich. But there's an ever-growing community that is taking responsibility with the understanding and the awareness that the community has to be what makes this happen. So we have supermarkets set up, and shopping centers, and outlets and retail outlets who are now becoming Leo Coin merchants for no particular incentive except that the community think this is a good thing. Obviously, on the back of a Leo Coin conversation, you can recruit people very, very easily, because then it's a very, very natural thing to speak about Leo. The whole Leo Coin Foundation entrepreneurship story is still, in my opinion, in direct selling, the best story, the most interesting story that a prospect can hear. You can fuel it and you can add spice to it by talking about some of the scams that have been there, and show how we are different, how we're engaged with the Houses of Parliament, how we're running APPGs, how we're doing our corporate responsibility well. But the technology in digital currencies is moving faster and faster and faster. I was speaking to a blockchain developer, a very, very senior guy in the industry, just the other day, and he said that coin is no longer what is talked about in the community, if you like, of people who are on the IT side. That's kind of a very old-fashioned term. They're not even talking about tokens anymore. They're now talking about different things like contracts or different things are coming through. The industry is moving faster and faster and faster. In technology terms, probably on the planet today, blockchain technology is developing faster than anything else that's out there. Now, I say that without being a person who's into chemistry or pharmaceuticals or what have you, but I have this sense that the blockchain communities and the technology behind it are moving faster and faster. Now, when we launched Leo Coin in 2014, we basically copied the blockchain of Bitcoin, because it was open source, and we made a few small tweaks to it and called it Leo Coin, this, that, the other. And it was a rudimentary blockchain. We've then upgraded it 2 or 3 times, and we've started to add some technological advancements and to kind of just further the technology dialogue of what digital currencies could be all about. And so we've added our privacy things, and we've added our communication things, and we've struggled a little bit because of technology. You have to get development muscle, and we've been very, very willing to engage with that, but it's been quite hard to find. The stage 3 on LeoCoin now is very much about keeping abreast with the technology and going places with this exploding industry so that we're right at the forefront, so we don't get left behind, if you like. And that means that we'll be able to migrate onto a new blockchain. And there's many benefits from this, from a technological perspective, from a tool set perspective, from a kind of the stuff that's in the toolbox of the migration that we're now planning. We'll be able to do lots of things that will support our position, which is that the secret weapon for building an alternative currency that we've said from the very beginning. And we have a longevity story now where we have one of the best stability stories in the gig. We have a community that's engaged. We have a foundation that has muscle, and everything is in play now. And now the technology is coming so that we can incentivize and drive our community to do things that will lead to duplication. The fundamental belief that I have, the fundamental premise that I hold, is that this is about duplication. If we can duplicate a community engagement by incentivizing the right behavior, then we have a formula for success. Bitcoin can't do that because there's no incentive for the community to do anything except hold on to their coins and hope for them becoming very, very valuable. We can incentivize our community to do the right things to drive duplication in the community, and that's through things like smart contracts. We can do things with the new architecture where we can airdrop coins in against a smart contract with terms and conditions. If you do the right things, you will be rewarded. How do we verify that? Well, we create a smart contract that then escrows coins for you and releases them over time based on the right activities being put into metrics and measurements. Very, very cool stuff. We can do things like incentivize and reward a merchant program. We had an incredible success early on with the merchant program, with a fair few problems as well, because there was an awful lot of fake account creation going on. But now the technology has moved on to such a state where we can incentivize in a more rewarding way, and I said more rewarding deliberately, and we can also measure it and make sure that it's a true win-win for everyone, for the merchant, for the recruiter of the merchant, for the LeoCoin Foundation, and for the customer. So there's very funky things that we'll be doing there. And we can also do things with staking. Of course, we're not going to give up on one of the key components of the LeoCoin universe. But we can also do things to say, oh, thanks for migrating across to the new blockchain. Here's an extra 10% of coins, for instance, that we'll release to you over the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever the right number is. So we're suddenly, what I'm trying to get across to you is that this stage 3 is not just about creating something new for marketing. It's actually harnessing tool sets and toolboxes and kit that we can then do even funkier things. We're setting LeoCoin Foundation up, and it always has been the aspiration that LeoCoin Foundation is going to be this powerful custodian with muscle to drive the community in engagement and rewards. So I guess I'm going on about this because I want you to understand that all of you who are sitting with a vested interest, with a commitment to LeoCoin and a hope in your heart that things will get better and that the price will go up, we are still committed to that journey. For those of you who were in Dubai in 2014 when we launched LeoCoin, you know that we launched this as a big idea, not just as a little, here comes a LeoCoin. We wanted to do something that could potentially change the world, and that hasn't changed. Now, things don't always go according to plan, and things don't go as fast as you want them to sometimes, but sometimes things have to roll out in their own sweet way. The technological development since 2014 on the blockchain means that now we can get the tools that we need to drive duplication in blockchain technology terms into the community. And that is powerful. So if you're new and you're not understanding everything that I'm saying, start to research furiously, because your future success and your family's future success depends on you understanding what's going on now. I think that digital currencies is far from played out. I think we're going to see some spectacular things happening this year. As we get mainstream adoption, as the technological developments happen, I think blockchain is going to be something that is going to be incredible, but it'll become increasingly hard for scammers to operate in this space, because the technology is real and transparent. So one of the things where we always win is that we can demonstrate that we've had a blockchain pretty much from day one. We can yeah, I think it was from day one. We launched it with the blockchain in Dubai in 2014. We had engagement with exchanges incredibly quickly. So for the last 4 years or 3.5 years, you've been able to buy and sell Leo coin in the open market. Now, we've been listed on exchanges. At any given time, there's 3 or 4 exchanges that you can engage with if you want to buy Leo coin or sell Leo coin. With the new stage 3 that I'm talking about, we'll be able to list not just on 3 or 4 exchanges, but on 30 or 40. And if you consider what that means in terms of eyeballs on our coin, in terms of awareness out there in the market, I've always said, the size of the value of Leo coin is always to do with the size of the community and the size of the economy that community builds. There's no shortcut to this. There's no way to pump and dump and run away. What you have to do is you have to do the legwork in building a big community. So we, as Leo, we're obviously going to use Leo coin to build our business. And if we can use our expertise as direct sellers, as multi-level marketers, to drive duplication on Leo coin, because now the technology has caught up with what we always wanted to do, we're in a very good place. Now, the pre-launch of this will come faster than you can imagine. And I think that August is going to see some very, very big things that you'll be very excited by. What we'll do every week now is we'll talk more and more about this and start to get a bit of excitement going in the marketplace, because your new people who joined with during the DMS time, if you like, might not get why Leo coin is so cool. We want to benefit our community. We want to make our community rich. So those of you who are holding Leo coin, who have had this hope now for however long you've held them, we are doing everything we can, our level best, to deliver on that. So in that sense, we're going back to our roots. And in that sense, I'm very, very pleased that we have now a real clear route forward that will change the lives of an awful lot of people in the Leo community. So this is the month for which to sell DMS. In August, it's looking like the reward has to be pushed out because of technological challenges or hardware challenges or logistics. We're also still wanting to keep you mindful of Leo Gold, because we still have things that we're working on under the table, if you like. It's not something we want to talk about until we know exactly what we're doing, but there is connections to the Leo banking. There's connections to a gold-backed cryptocurrency. There's things that we're working on. So we want you to still maintain gold as something that you are aware of and promoting. And if you use a combination of the Leo Gold and the DMS, it's still a very, very powerful package. Do your logistics and update your travel documents and sort yourselves out so that you qualify for Brazil. And be aware that everything is shifting now. We're going to another level, but we're going to a place that your people know. We're going back to our roots. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're just changing. I always think that life goes in circles. And if you do, so you start in one place and you kind of go round and then you come back and you're kind of at the same place again. But if you illustrate this with your finger and point, one of the things that you can also do is, if you're doing the right things, when you come round full circle, you're coming back at a higher level. If you do the wrong things, your karma will deal with it in such a way that you're doing a circle and you're coming down to a lower level. All of us have the private reference of, why am I always having to deal with this? Oh, it's getting worse and worse. It's because you're making the wrong decisions. I don't know what that would mean for your personal circumstances, but in terms of business, we're coming full circle now, and we're coming full circle on a higher level because we've done the right things. We've taken our corporate responsibility extremely seriously. We've taken the pain of making compliance decisions to make sure that we have a legal business. We've done all of the pain of KYC, and all of you suffered through that. But we did that for a reason. And the reason is that when we come full circle, we want to be in a higher place, not a lower place. We don't want to be stomping on the same grounds all the time. We want to take our business forward. So we're coming full circle to a place where we have more muscle, more resources, more commitment, and more ability to build the next wave. If you're new to Leo and you don't know who I am, and then you've only heard me on these webinars, our aspiration was always to build a long-term business, always to build a business that stood the test of times, always to build a business where we honored our commitment to people. Because the unwritten contract between me and you, or between the company and you, is that if you're going to engage with us and take 2, 3, 4, 5 years even to build a significant business, our commitment to you from the corporate side always has to be, we will be here in 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10 years time, and 15 years time. Every decision that we make supports that, because we can't be a fly-by-night person company that doesn't take its corporate responsibility seriously, because we would be breaking a basic covenant, which is that we have to give you time to build a business and time to benefit from that. So, as you can tell in my voice, I am incredibly excited with where we are. I'm looking forward to speak to you again next week. And we are in a very, very cool transitional period now in Leo, where we're going to the next level. And I thank you for your hard work. I thank you for your commitment. I thank you for your faith during times when things can be difficult. And I thank you more than anything for believing in the vision that we have in Leo and what we're about. So thanks very much indeed, and speak to you next week. And I hope that you got a sense of this is the time. So Dan Anderson saying over and out, and speak to you again next week.